Organizational Behavior, BA 319 by Bella, Danny, and Peter.
Moods versus emotions. Emotions are intense feelings directed at either someone or something. Moods are less intense feelings than emotions and more general, and they're caused by specific event, action oriented in nature. They're very brief in duration, they last for only seconds or minutes, and they're also accompanied by distinct facial expressions. Emotions, on the other hand, caused by very unclear causes, and the causes are very general. Last, they last longer than moods, for days or hours. They're cognitive in nature and generally not indicated by distinct facial expressions. The Big Five personality model. Research has found that the most common means of measuring personality is through self-report surveys. The Big Five personality is the best accepted, reliable, and most commonly used model of personality in academic psychology. One of the Big Five traits is extroversion. Extroverts get their energy from interacting with other people. They're sociable and very assertive. In contrast, introverts get their energy from within themselves, and they're reserved and tend to be very quiet. Second, agreeableness. Highly agreeable people are better liked, warm, and trusting. People who score low on agreeableness are antagonistic and more distant. Third, conscientiousness. In other words, a measure of reliability. Highly conscientious people are responsible, dependable. However, those who score low are easily distracted, disorganized, and unreliable. Number 4, emotional stability or person's ability to withstand stress. People with positive emotional stability tend to become self-confident and secure. In contrast, those with negative emotional stability tend to be nervous, anxious, depressed, and insecure. The last trait is openness to experience. People who like to learn new things score high on openness, and they enjoy new experiences and they're conventional and find comfort in the familiar.
Then we get into chapter 12, where we discuss leadership. Leadership is the ability to influence group toward the achievement of a vision or set of goals. In the book, we went into depth with trait theories of leadership, which focused on the personnel qualities and characteristics. Even back to the earliest research of leadership, people have sought to identify the personality, social, physical, or intellectual attributes that make leaders who they are. One of the most important traits is emotional intelligence, along with empathy, which some have argued that it cannot be measured. Believers claim that a person can be creative, have vision, be compelling, but without emotional intelligence or empathy for others, one cannot be a good leader. We also saw the behavioral theories of leadership, which imply we can train people to be leaders. Studies at Ohio State found that two behaviors accounted for most leadership behaviors. The first of these behaviors was initiating structure, which is the extent to which a leader is likely to define and structure his role and those employees in the search for goal attainment. The second behavior was consideration, which is the extent to which a person's job relationships are characterized by mutual trust, respect for employees, ideas, and regard to their feelings. A study at the University of Michigan also identified two behavioral types. The first was employee-oriented leaders, which takes personal interest in the needs of employees and accepting individual differences among them. A second was production-oriented leader, which focused more on the technical or task aspects of the job, focusing on accomplishing organizational goals. One of the more popular theories we saw was path goal theory. Leaders who followed this approach clarify the path to help followers achieve a common goal. Those that have the ability to do things this are charismatic leaders, which then raises the question, are charismatic leaders born or made? Who knows, but one thing is for certain. A leader requires trust, which continue to be a primary attribute associated with leadership. In chapter 13, we discuss power and politics. Power refers to the capacity that A has to influence the behavior of B so that B acts in accordance with A's wishes. With power, the most important aspect is the function of dependence. In other words, a person cannot have power over you unless they have something you desire. So what creates dependence? Well, it's importance, scarcity, and non-substitutability. There are also 5 bases of power, which are broken down into 2 categories. The first was formal power, which involved coercive, reward, and legitimate power, which are all based on an individual's position in an organization. The second category is personal power, which includes expert and referent power. Both of these are based off an individual's unique characteristics. We also discussed the downside of power, which led us to the long-standing question, does power corrupt, or do the corrupt seek power? Although not for certain, studies have shown that power leads to corruption. Another downside of power was the discussion of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is any unwanted activity of a sexual nature that affects an individual's employment and creates a hostile work environment. This usually occurs when there is a large power gap among employees and the boss. It's important to understand this because those that take in BA 319 can spot on the onset of sexual harassment and stop it if they are all aspiring leaders.
Attribution theory. When understanding what influences our perception of others, the attribution theory can be a useful tool. This theory helps decide whether an individual's actions are internally or externally caused by looking at distinctiveness, consensus, and consistency. Distinctiveness is how typical of an individual's behavior and event is. An employee who is often late and then misses the due date on assignment would point to internal causes. Consensus looks at how others would act in a similar situation. If several employees are late on the same assignment, external factors are likely to blame. Finally, consistency refers to how typical the individual's action and event is. An employee who is 30 minutes late but is usually 15 minutes early would indicate external factors are the cause. It is worth noting the 2 errors associated with this theory. The first is the fundamental attribution error. This error identifies one's tendency to underestimate external factors and overestimate internal factors when judging the behavior of others. The self-serving bias is the reverse of this, in which an individual is likely to see internal factors as leading to their successes and external factors causing their failures. Conflict handling and tensions. In order to best understand the negotiation process, it is important to know how the various parties will react to the conflict. We can do this by scoring the groups involved based on cooperativeness and assertiveness. A group that lacks cooperation but is highly assertive will compete in the negotiation and seek to satisfy all their needs first. Groups that score low in both categories will avoid conflict, and groups that score high in both will seek to collaborate. This is ideal because in collaboration, both parties seek to meet all the goals together. A group that lacks assertion but is highly cooperative will be accommodating and will put the other party's needs ahead of their own. Finally, groups that score in the middle of both categories will seek a compromise, or an agreeable solution that doesn't fully meet their agenda. Thanks for watching our video presentation. We hope you found it informative and entertaining.